Most adults struggle to learn the vibrato for one simple reason. The methods they use doesn't work. After playing the violin for 30 years and teaching hundreds of adults, I have found the most effective method to learn the vibrato step by step. And today I will share with you every single step. And the first step is, when should you start learning the vibrato? Most people begin the vibrato way too early. You should start the vibrato when your first position is safe. That means that you can play quite everything in the first position with a beautiful sound and a beautiful intonation. And the problem, if you start too early the vibrato, will be that it could make your intonation become worse, and it will make it very difficult to progress further. So now let's go to step 2, which mistakes to correct. The first one is what I see all the time, it's just the holding of the violin that is wrong. And that's a very important point, because if you are not holding the violin the right way, you will not be able to have a beautiful vibrato, no matter how much you practice. So the most important things here is that you should support the violin from under, like that. And the biggest mistake I see, the opposite, is to grip the violin between the thumb and the forefinger, like that. And when you do that, you can't have a vibrato because you need to hold the violin the whole time. In opposite, if you just do some sort of V, like I'm doing right now, and put it under the neck of the violin, to take the violin higher like that, and you feel really that the violin is resting on your fingers. What it allows you is to have a free vibrato, okay? Because we'll see this very soon, but to make a vibrato, the complete arm and hand need to be free. And that's just not possible if you're holding the violin between the thumb and the forefinger by pressing both of them on the side. Then the next thing is that if you press too much the finger on the string, it will not work either. So the question is, how much pressure you really need and how to find it. For this, there is a very easy exercise I teach, and it just play one tone, like the first finger on the D string. And then you will try to relax the pressure on the string very gradually. And then you will see that after some point, the sound will not be beautiful anymore. It will do like that. When that's it, then you need to put again a little more pressure on the string with the finger. Yeah, when you do that, what's very important is to still do always the same with the bow. Don't change the pressure on the bow when you are changing the pressure with the finger. Basically, here it should be very light with the finger, and the ball should be a little bit heavier. This is good, and actually when I check it, I'm pressing the string down. I'm in contact more or less with the wood, but I'm not pressing completely the string against the wood. Then, next thing is that most people are too tense, too stressed anyway. So what you really need is that to check that everything is relaxed, okay? Here, from here, the elbow, here, the wrist, the finger, everything should be like... Actually, the best way to figure it is like when you are sleeping. You know, when you are sleeping and then you wake up, okay? Everything is like completely relaxed. And when you play, it should be quite the same. I mean, you should take the arm here, doing like I said, put the finger with minimal pressure on the string, and then let everything completely relax. The finger, the elbow, the wrist, everything completely relax. And then the last thing you really need to correct is a big mistake I see a lot, is that a lot of people learned the vibrato the wrong way, and because of that they have some sort of uncontrolled vibrato like this. And this is very bad, because it's not something you can work with. It's not something you could develop in a beautiful vibrato. You just need to stop doing it and start learning to do the right vibrato from the start. A real vibrato is a vibrato you can control. That means we'll see that you can change the width of the vibrato and its speed. By the way, I remember the day my teacher tried to teach me the vibrato. She made herself a beautiful vibrato and then told me, just do like me. Of course. And that's why today I will show you every exercise you should use. So, step 3. Now you should define which vibrato you are gonna use. Actually, there is 3 kinds of vibrato on the 4th even. So basically, you have the arm vibrato. That's where you are moving the complete arm from the elbow. It's soon like this. Then the second one is the hand vibrato that you do from the wrist. That's the reason, actually, Ivan Galamian, the great violin teacher, called it the wrist vibrato. Then the third kind of vibrato is the finger vibrato. Finger vibrato is just, I will do like this so I can see it better, it's just by moving the finger. No, that's not a real vibrato, it's more for exercise, those kind of things. I quite never see someone using this. On the last kind of vibrato, it's not a left hand vibrato, it's a bow vibrato. Okay, you see sometimes when people play like Baroque pieces, or sometimes even, for example, Leonidas Kavakos, a great violinist, he uses it sometimes. But it's something very different. So now for you, for the beginning, I would really advise you to start with the arm vibrato because it's the most easiest to learn. And way later, when you are a master of the arm vibrato, you could learn the hand vibrato to have an even faster vibrato. So now for step 4, I just want to show you exactly how actually vibrato works because it will really help you to do it the right ways. So actually what happens, we make some slow motions of what you can do, see it better. I will do this with the third finger, it's even easier to see. So what happened basically is that I'm moving the finger very slowly like that, okay? But actually, it's not right what I say. I'm not moving the finger. But when you look what I'm doing, what you see is that my finger is moving. And actually, if you look more accurately, it's not really the finger that's moving, but the tip of my finger, okay? That means really the tip. At the beginning of the vibrato, it's round, and at the end, it's flat on the string. And because of that, the tone is changing. Okay, that means that in opposition to when you play one tone and it's always the same tone, we are always changing the tone. By the way, if you are asking yourself, okay, so where should the vibrato start and end? Should it start on the right note, the one that sounds right, and should it end lower, or should it start on the right note and then go higher? So what should be, or should it just be central? So like I said before, I read quite all the books about quite everything about the violin. And that was really one of the things I wanted to find out, what the best violin teachers said about it. And every one of the best violin teachers, even my teacher, Jean Lehner, that was an amazing teacher, what they says is what actually the start note should be the right note. And then you will do the vibrato below the note, like that. That means that's my right note. And then I will go below it. And then come back to the right note. And there was some more modern books here that actually when we analyze some recordings, what people do is actually that it's centered on the right note, something like that. Okay, that it go a little bit lower, a little bit higher. It's good. I like analysis, those kind of things, but what I know is that all the best violin teachers said do it on the low side. And I think it's what works best because when you wear this, what they wear has the most is actually the higher note. Okay, so I will focus on learning it that way. So here's some exercise to understand this too. We have the start note and then we go to a lower version of it. Then again to the right now, again to a lower version of it. And that's just that we will do that very fast when doing the vibrato. Actually, when you count it, how fast how much vibration there is in 1 second. It could be anything from 4 to 14 vibration per second, mostly. And here is some illustration to understand in violin too. So this is the beginning, how it is. And then at the end it's like this. And like you see, because of that, the tone is a little bit lower. It's in German because all my students are speaking German. But actually I'm French. And if you ask why is the video in English, it's because probably you don't speak German or French. So for step 5, we will now see the best preliminary exercise before starting the vibrato. Actually, one of the best exercises first to really understand the vibrato, especially because you are going to learn first the arm vibrato, is to do a shift, okay? When you shift, you do like that. And for the vibrato later on, it will be the same movement, okay? So do this with me. Okay, and it's very important to feel what we say before, that the violin rests on your V, and that it's free, so that you can do like that. And the movement should be from the elbow the whole time. Could do slowly and then a little bit quicker. Okay, and then you can reduce the range too, because this is too big, of course. Okay, it will be a little bit like that, way smaller. And then the only difference will be that you will have one finger on the string that stay on the string during the vibrato, okay? But this is the best exercise first, because you need to learn 2 movements. The first one is how to move the complete arm from the elbow, like that. And then the second thing we want to learn is to have the finger flexible, okay? Actually, I will do with the third finger. Okay, we'll begin with the third finger. What you want to learn is that, okay? But you see that finger is round, and then it's like that, so flat on the string basically. But for this, the finger needs to stay flexible. So a good way to train that is easy, it's just you grab the end of your finger, okay? And then you do this. You move your arm so that your finger needs to stretch automatically. Okay, so that means you don't try to move the finger itself. Yeah, you are not doing this. You are moving the arm, but because you hold the tip of the finger the whole time, automatically the finger stretch, and when you come back, automatically it's round again. Okay, and you could do that with every finger. And here it's very important to see that every articulation of the finger is moving with flat, round, everything, okay? But just following. And later on, when you are doing vibrato, it will be exactly the same movement. So now we'll do the same actually on the string, combining both movements. You will put the third finger on the G on the D string. I remove my forefinger just so you can see, but when you practice naturally, the forefinger should be above the string like that at all time, okay? This is just so you can see better what I'm doing. And because you don't want to start with the forefinger. You put the finger now, and now you will go very slowly on the low direction, okay? Like that. And then you come back. And very important is to do this with the whole arm, like we were doing with the shifting, okay? I'm moving the whole arm, and my finger is following. You see? It's round, it's flat. Could do that with me. But very important for it to work is that the tip of the finger stay in contact with the string. So it should rotate, the tip of the finger should rotate on the string, but what should not happen is a shifting movement. Yeah, you should not begin to lose like this, okay? This is no vibrato, this is a shift. Yeah, what we want is that the form of the finger change, so that the finger is rolling on the string, okay? That's very important. You can do like that first to feel it, but that's the movement to learn. When you are doing it, yeah, you will see here that the violin should stay very free. That means I am in contact here between my forefinger on the violin, but when I'm doing the vibrato, it's free. That means I'm not holding here. It can stay in contact, it can go away too, it's okay, but it should be free. Okay, now for step 6, we will go to the step-by-step exercises to develop a perfect vibrato. Those are some of the exercises I give to my students and very typical. Like you see, we begin very slow, doing one complete vibrato movement every 2 beats. So if I show you just the first bar, it is like that. So it's an extremely slow vibrato. We are doing one vibrato cycle every 2 seconds, basically, because I'm tempo 60. Vibrato start more at 4 complete vibration per second and go till 14, 18 per seconds. Actually, let me show you how it sounds. I will take tempo 60, it's like a second, and I will do 4 vibration a second. I think it's the slowest vibrato that's so nice. We could go even a little bit slower, okay? Okay, with 3. But if I go even slower to 2, could be okay, like in orchestra or something like this, but it's very slow, okay? So, and one of the fastest will be like that. The right way to practice the vibrato, after you learn to do the right movement, is just to increase the speed of the vibrato step by step. Best thing is to use a metronome like I'm using right now. Yeah, I put it at tempo 60 beats per second. And then I will just first do like it's on my exercise. First one movement every, first the movement in this direction in 1 second, and then on the next beat I will come back. You can do this with me. 3, 4. And then I will just go a little bit faster. This is one complete movement per second. Okay, and I will then go always quicker with 3, 4, and so till the ends. From the beginning, you can do with me 3, 4. To be honest, it will take a lot of time to come to the max speed. What I advise for the first month is just to focus on the first few exercises. That means with one complete vibrato every 2 beats, 1 per beat, until 2 per beat. Okay, this will take a little time to have this done really like in a controlled way, on a relaxed way. Then you could increase to 3 vibration per beat, okay, and that you will probably stay there a few months and then probably go to 4. But you need to be very step by step. And of course, to practice each finger, even your pinky finger. Okay, so after you have done this for long enough, you will be able to have a nice vibrato control for each note. The problem is that it will still not sound very well. So to improve it, you will need a few things. The first one is that you will need to practice to play the vibrato without interruption from a finger to another finger. For this, you could use some exercise like those, for example. Like you see, this is just a standard scale. And what we do first is just 2 finger exercise. So for example, here we'll practice first from A to F sharp on only those 2 fingers. On the chord here, that will be to have no interruption between the 2 fingers. For this, it's very important to do the vibrato with the whole arm, okay? And don't stop it when you change the finger. That means my finger will maybe do like that, but I continue moving my arm the whole time. And most people, what they do is this. They make vibrato, when they stop, and stop the next one. And with this one, when they play it, then it doesn't sound well, because they do something like that. What you want is without any interruption. Just you change the finger, but the movement continue. And then you do this for every 2 finger combination, basically, okay? So 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. That's all combination there is. And then the next step, that will be to do the same between position, okay, with exercise like that. In this case, we will train first only this one to this one, okay? So second finger on this should be the first finger, it's not written. So that means this. This is way more difficult, of course, but that will be the next step. So now you should have a very nice vibrato without any interruption, but the problem is that it will maybe not sound like a vibrato, but just like an exercise. Okay, what I see a lot of students that they have vibrato and it sounds like this. Okay, and it's not sounding nice. So why is that? In vibrato, there is only two factors you can change and you should change: the speed and the width. So here's one more image, in German of course, to show you the width and the speed. So the width is how big is the vibrato, or width. So that means this is a lot of width, for example. And this will be small. Okay? So that's the width. And the second factor is the speed. The speed is just how many vibration there is per beat in a specific tempo. So this, like we saw, it was 1, this will be 4, and will be 16. And something very important is that for the vibrato to sound well, you need to find a good combination of width and speed. Of course, it doesn't mean that, like on my graphic, no, on my graphic it looks like it's always proportional, the width and the speed. Actually, it's more complicated than that, because if it was like that, every violinist would have the same vibrato and it will always sound the same, and that's not the case. But what's important is that you find some report between the two, some proportion that sounds well. And the only way to find that is to test it. So you play, and then you can try to do it a little wider. But still, there is a few tips I can give you. First is that mostly your vibrato will be proportional to what you are doing with the bow. That means that if you play very relaxed, very slow, like that, for example, very lightly, you are not gonna do a very quick and wide vibrato. You are not gonna do... It will not sound well, yeah? It will be more relaxed, more slow. Okay? When you are going to play slower, your vibrato is going to be more wide, and when in the opposite you are going to make it quicker, it's gonna be tighter. And here another example for like beginning from Tchaikovsky. It's more passionate, so I can make a more quicker vibrato. Or but if I'm playing meditation ties, it will be very slow. But of course, it's question from C. Like if you know the violinist Ivry Gitlisya, it always writes something like this. And he used, for example, that sometimes he play no vibrato at all, and then like a really quick, wide vibrato. So you can do a lot of things. But one guideline is that the higher the note, the tighter the vibrato will be. If you play A, F on the first position, you will have the finger next to another. Now, let's say you will do the same on the 7th position. That will be, for example, the same interval on the 7th position will be not a half tone, but one whole tone, okay, or 2 half tone. Because on the 7th position, interval are twice smaller as in the first position. And because of that, you need to do a tighter vibrato. Don't forget this, be patient, I'm sure you can do it. And in this video I've listed the 10 most important mistakes beginner makes. Enjoy!